reference lines. First of all, let me just give you an introduction about what is the meaning of a trend line and why is this trend line is something which is very important when we try to do an analysis. See, when it comes to data analysis, trend analysis also plays a significant role. So, of course, you can understand that there are a certain mathematics which is associated with it when I'm saying that it is a trend analysis or any kind of analysis will be done adopting a mathematical approach. Absolutely no doubt about it. And of course, there is an association of a mathematics with that. But when we talk specifically on trend analysis is basically a statistical technique. So why you will be making use of this statistical technique is that you just wanted to identify what is going to happen in the future for any kind of see, most of the time when we deal with the data, we talk in terms of a variables, right? So for a particular variable, say for example, the most of the time we have seen about a superstore data, right? In the superstore data, we have a profit, right? So what the profit is, consider that profit as a variable. So this variable, how it is going to move towards in the future. So you just wanted to identify like whether the sales is going to get increased for your store or not. So if you have to identify that, actually the trend analysis is going to help you. Okay, so you can say that it's basically a method to predict the future behaviors. Okay, so most of the time, the very important use case that the trend analysis is often associated is, assume that you are basically a financial advisor. Okay, so financial advisors or somebody who is working as a technical analyst in your finance industry, they need to actually do one thing, or something which is mandate from them is that they should be in a position to identify the future movements of some given asset. Okay, so what do I mean by a given asset is that, in the sense is that, assume that if a person is a financial advisor, he might be giving finance advices to many people. So what kind of finance advices they might be giving is that how to invest, like in case if they are into stock business, so they might be giving a suggestion as in which stock to invest so that it is going to give them, it's going to give profit them. They shouldn't be in a position to lose it. Okay, so how are they saying that you invest on this particular stock and you are going to gain a profit? Okay, so how are they doing it means, obviously they will be in a position to do the future as a movement of a given asset. Okay, so how are they predicting what is going to happen in the future is definitely they look into the previous data. Okay, so for a particular company, like for example HP is there, so HP, how it is going to behave for the next how it is going to be performing for the next 7 days. If they have to identify that, what they are going to do is that they will take the company's HP's stock price, and then on a daily basis, what is the whether the stock price has been increased or whether the stock price has been decreased, they are going to identify that. So they will check that every last 7 days. If they will take, they are going to check for the last 7 days, and for the last 7 days, if there is a continuous increment with some percentage for this company, then it is called as an uptrend. Okay, so whenever a company is coming to an uptrend, they will look into the previous history. So whether the company had a history of maintaining this uptrend, if they have maintained the uptrend for the 7 days. Okay, so with that, they will come to a conclusion that, okay, you can invest in this particular organization. So that is going to, the uptrend is going to happen for the next 3 months. Okay, so this is the typical example of how a trend analysis is going to work. Okay, So just that they are going to look into the historical behavior of the stock of a particular company. They gain certain evidences to give some kind of opinion. To do that, they are basically doing a trend analysis. So we can understand that trend analysis is something which is playing a very significant role in terms of a financial advisor person. But how about the other sectors? So you take a e-commerce company. So for a e-commerce company, you just wanted to identify whether your sales is going to be improved or not. You are doing a trend analysis. Assume that you are a designer. So designer, you are basically, you have a plan of releasing a particular design into the market, and you will obviously check whether the trend analysis for the similar kind of products. So then only you will be doing the release of that corresponding product, and you can expect some kind of gain is going to happen for your design. Okay. So any type of industry, if you will take, naturally the trend analysis is going to be helpful. So what is the conclusion that I wanted to draw as a part of this previous slide is that when it comes to analysis, trend lines play a significant role. Okay. So it is playing a significant role in almost in every sectors. For that only I gave you examples and I associated certain use cases. Now we are not interested to do this trend analysis using various mathematical procedures or models. We are not at all interested in this because I have a tool, I have a software which can do the trend analysis for me automatically without me having to worry about the underlying mathematics. So that's why we wanted to understand how we can actually get the trend lines in Tableau. Okay. So that's the important discussion that we need to do because of because our sessions is going to be completely on focusing on a Tableau, right? So how to do this trend analysis using Tableau? So just that should we put the fields in our columns and the rows? Is it going to draw a trend line for us? It will obviously, if there is a line chart, it is going to give me a line chart. But I do not know whether it is going to draw me a trend line or not. So we need to explore on that aspect as well. So that's what we are going to discuss in this. So before I go and show you the demo part of it, I just wanted to, tell you theoretically what is happening with respect to the Tableau's trend lines. Okay. So now if you will take a Tableau, again in Tableau, you can create the trend lines with dimensions and measures field only. Okay. So generally what happens is that when we wanted to add a trend line in a data, you make sure that both the axis is having some numbers, both the columns as well as the rows is having some numbers. Then only it will make it will make sense to draw a trend line basically. Okay. So you will not actually use a trend line whenever you are having, for the fields which is having a city or country, because it doesn't contain any numbers and it is a textual form, right? So you need to take care of that as well. So this is first thing that you need to concentrate when you wanted to draw a trend line. Second thing is you decide to draw a trend line. So there are various options Tableau will provide. What sort of options Tableau will provide is that which mathematical model you wanted to use it for drawing your trend line. So by default, it is giving you 5 trend line options. One is your linear, second one is your logarithmic, third is exponential, fourth is polynomial, and then power. Okay. So with all of these models, with the support from all of these models, we can actually trace a trend line. So with the trend line, we can highlight the trends which is there in the data. Okay. So this is about the theoretical aspects of your trend line. Now you might be having one question. The question is that should I have to follow some hard rule to identify the trend line? Because there are so many models are there. So in this model, which one I should choose? I always get into a confusion, right? So probably if there is kind of hard rule is there, uh, if you have this type of data, you follow this trend line, may be useful for us. But we cannot say that it's a hard rule, but there are some tips and tricks that you can follow it in case if you wanted to if you are trying to figure out which type of model is the most suitable one for my use case. Okay, so first thing is, whenever you have a, whenever you are having a kind of linear relationship between the two variables. Say for example, you have a sales here. Okay, let me just take my whiteboard. So say for example, you have here maybe sales is one thing I have. Okay, sales is one thing I have, and in the next, this may be my column, and in my row what I'm having is discount. Okay, so these are the two variables which I have. Okay, so what sort of relationship I'm able to obtain from sales and discount means, say for example, my sale is 5, so immediately my discount is 0.1. Okay, so my sale, if my discount is 20%, my sale is 30. Okay, like this, it's like 20%, then my sales is going to be 30. See, what I'm trying to tell you is that there are two variables here, sales and discount. There are two variables, and between these two variables always there is a linear relationship. Okay, so you know what is a linear relationship, which is going to take off the form like line equation, y is equal to mx plus c, and you can if you will try to plot this, what you will get is obviously a kind of straight line, you will be getting it. Okay, yeah, so the line, if you try to plot it, you will be getting a straight line. Like for example, if it is 5 is a sales, then 10. So if it is 10, then discount is like this. So the relationship between this variable and this variable is linear in nature. Okay, so when you have any kind of data like this, which is any kind of variables which is establishing a linear relationship between these two, then you would obviously go for a linear model when you're trying to follow a trend, when you're trying to draw a trend line. Similarly, if you would figure out that the change between the two variables, okay, the change is actually um, I could probably call it as a rate of change. If the rate of change is increasing or decreasing, so there's not a constant increment, there is not a constant decrement, there is an increment, again there is a decrement, increment, decrement. So the kind of line which you are going to get will be a logarithmic trend line. Okay, so that's how the rate of change is going to be affected. So through the rate of change between the variables, you can decide on what what kind of trend line model I have to adopt for my use case. I hope you got my point. Okay, so that is only would serve as a hardened rule for identifying which which trend line, which trend model I have to adopt for the data which I have it. Okay, and there are some more tips also. If the rate of change is increasing rapidly between the variables, you go for an exponential. And also if the rate of change is very much fluctuating, then you go for a polynomial. And power trend lines is basically, they will use the natural log for transforming the variables. So it does not accept any values which is lesser than 0, because logarithm is not made for 0 value, right? So in those cases, you will be using the power one. Okay, so that's the whole idea, like theoretical idea that you need to gain before we go ahead and see how we can draw the trend line. Oh, I hope you got an idea on the same. So now let's get into our Tableau environment and see how we can put the trend line for our data. So we will make use of the same Superstore data itself. So what I'm going to put in my columns is that I'm just going to put my order date in my columns, and in the row let me put a sum. Okay, because we need to we need to deal with two numerical values, correct? So we have put this. So what you're seeing here is actually there is a trend line. Okay, now if there is no trend line which has been shown, then you will go to your analytics, then you will click on this trend line, and when you drag this here, you will get an option whether it is going to be linear, logarithmic, exponential, anything. So I'm just keeping it in polynomial, and you can see how the curve is changing. So this is what this dashed line, what you get is what you call it as a trend line. Okay. So depending upon what model you can use it for your data, you can change your trend lines actually. So similarly, let me just put, instead of a discount, if I will put a profit here. Okay, let me just put the profit here. So if I'll put a profit here and see here. So this is the trend line which I have got. So in case if I wanted to change and see this, maybe I will go for a polynomial one, and I think it's already there in polynomial, and the linear relationship, you can see that there is a strong linear relationship which is there in this data. Let's look at the logarithmic one. So logarithmic one is not suitable here. So exponential, if you would keep it, I don't think so. Exponential is also working, and the power is also not working. So the kind of relationship that is existing is better in terms of linear relationship. Okay. So likewise, you can actually change the data that you are going to use it, and then you can understand that there are different categories. So like, for example, I will change the profit. Then let me just put in the sales here. Okay, sales, if I will put uh, what I have drawn right now is basically uh, so this is already there in linear, but it is like, logarithm and power is grayed out. Let me just go to exponential. Yeah, so polynomial. Okay, so that's how the trend line is getting varied. So this is the idea of how you can make use of the trend line in your Tableau. Okay. So now if you is it like, can we have it only for two fields? Not necessarily. So let us keep the sales here, and let's put the discount here. Okay, let's put the discount here. Okay, so I have put the discount here. So now you can see that. Okay, so this is basically like, I think it is in logarithmic. So, it's not totals. Yeah, I think it's logarithmic. Okay, yeah. And then let us put for exponential. Yeah. Okay, so this is how you can actually have it for multiple measures also. Okay, and even you can add your marks card also here. So maybe I will put my region over here. Okay, so yeah, region, I will put segment, I'm going to put it, or region. Let me just put the location here. Yeah. Okay, so I have put the segment over here. Now you can understand the difference. Okay, and even you can put your color coding over here, so to clearly understand how the trend is happening. Okay, so this is basically no, so you can understand, like, we have actually got a power trend line. Okay, and yeah, and also we can actually have our shipping date also, because that is also one kind of um, that's a numerical value. So let us remove this year, and then let us just put the shipping date. Okay, so now also you can understand that it is actually drawing the power trend line. Okay, so these are the different ways you can actually make use of the trend lines. Okay, so trend line, generally we are using it for predicting the statistical analysis of the data. Okay, so it is basically taking the reference to some model, and then for our example we can associate whether that is increased or decreased, or we can find out these one. Okay, so that's about the trend lines. Okay, and a few more things what you can do with trend lines is that, like, there will be an option. See here, you can identify that, like, what kind of r square value it is there and p square value it will give. And also you can have an edit option here. Okay, just you need to click on it and then you just click on the edit one. So here you can actually change and see. Okay, so let me just create a power line so you can make out the difference. So now I'm making a polynomial, so that is also giving me a difference. Linear, okay, logarithmic. Okay, so this way also you can actually edit your trend line options. Okay, so these are certain things that you can perform with respect to the trend lines. Okay, I hope you got an idea on completely how to make use of the trend lines. Now I'll just conclude it. Everything about the trend lines is being discussed. So I feel that we have learned about the trend lines, and also we have learned how we can use it, and also when to use which trend line. Okay. See, even if you do not, if you do not know any kind of mathematics, absolutely no problem, because any person who do not have any background with mathematics or statistics can also do a trend analysis. Okay, so because the formula is being calculated by our Tableau itself, just we need to know which data field we want to do the analysis with.